listen to this, and then give us a call with regard to what is your current 49ers insecurity. What is, and we're going to tell you why we're asking that. What is your current 49ers insecurity? Adam Amin of Fox, who called the game yesterday and was with us a short time ago, said this.
I think the preseason has a tendency to magnify our biggest insecurities about our fandom and has a tendency to also magnify our biggest hopes about our fandom. I think that's a fair assessment for any fan of any team in the NFL. I think it's very obvious in the preseason because it's the sport we're the most starved for.
Okay, I love that he said it. And I said last week, I'm like, August football stinks. And because what I tend to hear is just a lot of anxiety, like unfounded anxiety. I'm not saying that anybody's wrong. I'll admit it. The Niners camp has stunk. Can we say that? I think we can get away with that.
Yeah.
It's been a bad camp. However, what does that mean for the actual season? The only way I can answer that right now is to say it might lead to some problems, and it might not. You sent a text this morning that caught my attention because I'm glad we got here. Thank you, Adam, because I wanted to ask you about this. You said this year is off to an uneven start. And then you cited Trent and Ayuk and McCaffrey's injury, Dre Greenlaw, and Hufanga.
Thank you.
This year is off to an uneven start. And I responded by saying, this year is not even off to a start at all. And I know that there's a little semantics in there.
Sure.
I get where you're coming from, but I'd argue that everything you just listed very might, possibly even probably, is going to be totally fine 3 weeks from tonight.
It could. We know that Debo, when he held out, came out and had a down year. We know that Bosa, when he held out, came back and he had a little bit of a down year. Not as bad as many people want to cite, but he certainly started slowly. And he was the first one to say that, it took him a couple of weeks to get rolling. And you've got Trent Williams, an older guy who hasn't practiced, and Ayuk, a younger guy who hasn't practiced. And everybody wants, the quarterback to be in sync with his guys, and he can't because Ayuk's not here. Hufanga's coming off a major injury to the ACL, and he got cleared now, not to practice, but to do more football-related activity. And he might be a week 2, week 3 guy to return. Greenlaw likely out until Thanksgiving. I just look at a number of things with the injuries, and, the Christian McCaffrey one, you seem to think is no big deal. He hurt his calf, or he had a calf issue, and so they immediately said, you're shut down.
Yeah.
2 weeks, you're not playing. So all these things to me have led to a camp where it hasn't felt like you're building momentum. It feels like you're just kind of surviving through minor adversity. Nothing major yet. You have had some injuries. You have a lot of injuries, so many that you couldn't do joint practices. And I just feel like you're not heading into the start of the season with a lot of momentum.
It's been an annoying camp.
Yeah, uneven was the word I think I used, right?
Yeah,
is that right?
Well, right. Yeah. And then you said an uneven start. And yes, it's been annoying. Brandon Ayuk has dominated camp, and that's not fun. He's not even participating. Trent Williams is a mystery. People don't like that. We've learned that over and over again. When people are supposed to be at work and they're not at work, damn it, fans want a reason. Andrew Wiggins, what is it? What is it? Well, you don't get to know. I don't know what it is. I do know that those on the inside don't seem to be expressing a whole lot of concern. Is that genuine? I don't know. But I am very, very confident that Trent Williams will be in a uniform 3 weeks from tonight. And that's the other thing that I sort of started thinking about the other day. Okay, 3 weeks from tonight. Think about in the NFL world how long that is. 3 weeks last year covered the entire span of what the Niners would call their down period last year. It covered the entire span. They went to Cleveland and missed a field goal, went to Minnesota and Cousins carved them up, and then they came home to Cincinnati. Burrow carved them up. Then they went into a bye week and got healthy and got their mind right and came out and started another win streak. 3 weeks in the NFL is a long time. And this is to Adam Amin's point. We're very excited. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah.
I got 8 senior 17-year-old dudes coming over to the house in 3.5 hours to eat pizza and draft their fantasy rosters. And I know that my 2 boys, the 2 that I claim, are at home playing like NFL Films music out of the smart speaker at my house right now, getting ready. They're out of their minds. Everyone's excited. The other side to this is, in the NFL cadence, the first game is still a ways away.
Yeah.
21 days for Trent and Brandon to get signed and Christian to get his uniform and whatever. I mean, Dre's not playing week 1 anyway.
Sure.
So that
Hufanga probably not either. But
yeah, like I'm not sitting here telling you everything's fine. I'm telling you that there's every possibility still that everything's totally fine.
Of course. And I think that what you're saying is rational and reasonable, but the way I look at it, I'm looking at through a lens, and I'm not going to use the phrase, I'm going to save it for as we get closer to the season. It's a phrase you hate, but the idea of what this team is expecting to be, what they expect themselves to be, what fans expect them to be, is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And as it sits right now, your Hall of Fame left tackle, who knows where he is? Ayuk is watching the game in a suite with an alleged back injury. He's holding in. He might be hurt. He's probably not. We don't know what he is. McCaffrey's got a calf. And all of the other issues that are going on with his team, it doesn't feel like this team is building momentum, gathering timber, heading into the opener in 3 weeks. And all of us are expecting not 17-0 in the regular year, not even 16-1. I think the expectation among fans is you win the division and maybe you even get another first round bye. And if you're healthy in January, well, we've got action. Yeah. And so the way it's gone in this camp has not felt to me like a team that is conducting itself like a Super Bowl champion contender.
If I was going to answer our own question, what is your current 49ers anxiety? What is that thing that has you kind of triggered or stressed? We're sort of talking right now about what mine is. Mine is more conceptual. It's not Christian's calf or Brandon's contract. It's the fact that there's nowhere to go but down.
Right. Expectations are bananas.
Out of control. And it's going to be really hard, I think, for the 49er fan base to stay in the moment this offseason. When you have a team that is supposed to be there in the end, it becomes very, very difficult to accept the mundane and go week to week and accept the disappointing. Like, they're going to lose football games this year, and they're favored to win them all. Right now they are favored to win them all. They will be upset at least once, twice, probably 5 times.
I got them at 12-5. Mark.
Okay. Probably 5 times.
We played the schedule game, and I had them at 12-5.
You did?
I have that in my locker. I'll bring it out here in the next week or so. We can go through it again.
Do they have any schedule losses?
See how it's changed. Oh, yeah.
Is there a schedule loss?
Absolutely.
Who's the schedule loss? Is it Kansas City?
Just looking at the schedule right now, and now because they have 10 days off before the Chiefs game, I'll get back to you on that, but I think it might be the Cowboys. No, that game's at home.
Don't you dare say that.
They do have one, though.
Don't say that.
It's a short week. But anyway, keep going.
No, do you have any 49er insecurities right now?
They have They have the biggest rest deficiency. They have less rest than any other team in football.
And those are like some of the deep
things,
facts that could be a thing when we get to the end of the year and look back. But what kind of insecurities have been sort of ruffled up here? 888-957-9570. Mine is that I don't know if we're satisfiable this year.
Yeah.
And so the journey that they're about to take is by definition going to be frustrating at times. And I think that it's very, very difficult to live up to those kinds of expectations. And I don't mean that in terms of like, so the 49ers got to pass if they don't win. No, that's not. I'm talking about us, not them. I'm talking about us. In a way, my insecurity is, and by the way, this is how I felt about Team USA basketball in the Olympics. Sports is less fun if when you go into it, you're like, well, you better win everything or you're an embarrassment. That's just not fun to me. That's why I could still get starry-eyed when Kevin Durant's Warriors won rings. I'm like, great job. A lot of people were like, of course. Would have been embarrassing for them to not win. Or legs would need to start popping and flying off bodies like Kevin's and Clay's did when they didn't win. I just don't like to look at it that way because there's too many things that can happen.
Of course.
It still is. I wonder if people, like, do you buy that? Here's what I'm getting at. If the Niners win the Super Bowl this year, that is still an incredible achievement.
Right. You should have more joy than you will have relief.
Do you buy what I just said?
Definitely.
Okay, but does everybody?
They should. And you had me thinking about what I just said about my prediction for their record. And if I just said that to fans, if I gave you 12-5 right now for the Niners, how would that make you feel?
Oh, I'd be so excited.
But I think a lot of fans would be like, man.
Why'd you lose 5 times?
Right. Which 5 teams are going to beat you?
I'll give you 1.
Right. Honestly, though, if I said, hey, Niners 12-5, hey, Niner fan, right now, I'm giving you 12-5. Now, you don't know if that's going to be good enough to win the division. I do know that historically, a 12-5 team, used to be 12-4. If you went 12-4, I don't think that a 12-4 team has ever missed the playoffs. I know an 11-5 team has missed the playoffs, but I don't think 12 wins has ever kept you out. So if I gave you 12-5 right now, you're in the playoffs for sure. You're probably the division winner. You may even be the number 1 overall seed. Would you take it? And I bet a lot of Niner fans would say, no, they should be better than that. And that's 12-5.
12-5 last year.
12-5 was a good year.
Not only was it the 1 seed last year, they didn't have to play the last week. They got to chill. They got to, they were on an inner tube, cruising around the water, waiting for the playoffs to start for 2 weeks. So, yes, 12-5 is wonderful, especially with some of the factoids you just brought up in terms of their travel and their rest. You know, one thing that people forget about the end of the year last year, where the Niners really did, even though they weren't always looking perfect, they rolled through and won a bunch of football games. Remember, once they got out of the bye and Jacksonville, and then maybe it was a week or 2 later, they never left the time zone again. Their games were all either at home or in Vegas or
home at Seattle. They went to Philly.
Right.
Week 13. And then
what
home,
happened?
Arizona, home. They did go to Washington, and then they were home. So they had 2 trips remaining.
I thought Washington was here.
It says here at Washington.
Isn't that this year? Isn't it? Am I going crazy?
They were at Washington last year. I think you're thinking of 2 years ago.
Am I thinking of 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
But after Baltimore, it was you beat Washington, and then it was Ottoman City.
Huh. Oh, yeah, I remember that game now. That's when they did the Ayuk throwback. Okay, I remember the game now. Anyway, point being.
Adam Amin on the call.
Yeah, of course.
And he also called the Ram game the next week.
The travel and the rest factor this year are worse.
Yeah.
In statistically. No
doubt.
And so those are things. Those are things. Jonathan in the city. Hi, Jonathan. What's up? What are you doing?
Hey, just going to pick up my son from school. Football security, you got a big one, man, because you know why? Our guys lost the Super Bowl. And, if I'm trying to forecast the season and I don't have a clear view of what I'm seeing is pretty murky, I look at the history and I remember a lot of times, man, when the Super Bowl when a team lost the Super Bowl, the following year is not that good. So I'm going to be optimistic but very cautious. It's not to say I'm not going to be excited. Of course, I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be watching, every second on the 49er football because I'm just a diehard like that. But I'm going to be very cautious. So I want to see the offense kind of change it up a little bit. I mean, the offense is good. It's great. But you want to take advantage of, the passing rules, right? I know Kyle Shanahan runs run heavy, or he's a running. It's a running type of offense. But man, I think it's time to tweak it out a little bit, man. Take advantage of some of the throws downfield because if they don't, man, I'm gonna see the same thing that happened to Jimmy. You know, you don't make adjustments, and all these D coordinators are watching 2 years of your film, and it's always down the middle. You know, in the numbers, they're gonna crowd that middle of the field, and the only adjustment you can make out of that, if they crowd the middle, you got to take advantage of throws down the field.
Jonathan, can I be real with you for a second? You don't sound excited at all. You said you're going to be excited. You sound like your voice, your inflection, you sound like the 49ers are defeated already.
Yeah, because it's not a good start, man. Initial impression to me is very important. All this contract talks, and our guys are already injured. McCaffrey's nursing a calf injury already. And they're coming off a Super Bowl loss. Like I said, man, look at all the teams that lost the Super Bowl. The following year ain't that great.
Yeah, but that's then. That's then and that's them. Like, I hear you, Jonathan, but they're 0-0. They're not off to a bad start. The season hasn't started yet. Man, see, people are going to have a hard time getting last year out of their head. This is going to be a real challenge. And I get it. I totally get it. But that's going to be a real challenge.